Hey, it's me, MLB. Here's chapter 46 of Touch. This one is titled, Hey Girl, Hey. The next morning you woke to your favourite hot drink in bed, served by your hot husband. Morning, baby, he said sweetly as he handed you your drink. This is a thank you for last night, he said with a cheeky smile. You remembered the mind-blowing romp you had last night. Thank you, he said with a shy smile. I'll let you have a day to recover before we do it again, Hawks leered as he leaned in and kissed you. You squeaked with embarrassment, and he chuckled and walked back out to the kitchen again. Oh, hey, also, I got someone coming today to help with that change your looks plan that I mentioned last night, he called. Who? You asked curiously. Then you got a brainwave. Brian? Is it Brian? Is he giving me a makeover? You asked excitedly as you put your drink down and jumped out of bed, running to the kitchen. Of course, honey bunch, Hawks said as he flicked his hand like Brian would do. Oh my gosh, yay, you cried. Thank you, thank you. You ran and jumped into Hawks's arms, kissing him all over his face. Okay, he laughed. Get ready because he'll be here soon. You squealed excitedly and ran back to the bedroom to get changed. A little later, you were halfway through a heated make-out session with Hawks, straddling his lap on the lounge when you heard the most flamboyant knock at the door and you ripped your lips off Hawks's and bounced excitedly in his lap, looking over towards the door. He's here, you said excitedly as you gripped your fingers into Hawks's shoulders. Hey now, baby, you're more excited to see him than me, Hawks said with a small chuckle. Save that bouncing for me later, though, he leered as he grabbed a handful of your ass and squeezed firmly. He quickly slid his hands to your waist and wrapped his arms around you as he grunted and stood up. You wrapped your legs around his torso, clinging to him like a koala. He strolled casually to the front door and opened it to an extremely happy Brian who clicked his fingers mid-air and greeted you both with a, Hey girl, hey. Hi Brian, you said shyly as Hawks let you slide down his front. Hey honey bunch, you ready to do some fun with Bri? He asked as he wiggled his fingers at himself to indicate that he, in fact, was Bri. You nodded with a big grin on your face. Something in the corner of your eye caught your attention and you looked down at the bag that Brian had slung over the crook of his elbow as he held his arm bent to stop it sliding off. It was your favourite colour. I really like your bag, Brian, you said bashfully as you held onto Hawks's arm. Brian gasped with excitement, then did a dramatic scream. Girl, thank you. Anthony does not appreciate. Can you believe him? Ugh, he said as he flicked an imaginary fringe from his face. Anywho's, yin baby, let's hit the town, he said as he punctuated his words with a movement similar to the nene. You smiled and did an excited little bounce beside Hawks, who was watching you with amusement. Go get your things, baby, Hawks said gently as he shook his arm slightly to get you to go. I'll be back, he said softly as you ran to get your bag. Hey, Brian, Hawks said in a low voice, watching you leave from the corner of his eye. Yeah, boo-boo, Brian said as he popped a hip out. Keep an eye on my girl, yeah? Hawks said lowly. I've put one of my feathers in her bag, so I'll have ears on her, but if there's any suspicious-looking people who appear to be following you, give them the slip if you can, he said. Brian hummed knowingly. Also, Hawks said, her name is Anne when you're out. Boy, don't you even stress your fine self, you just leave it with Uncle Bri, he said with a flamboyant arm wave and a small finger click. Call me if you need me, Hawks said with a wink. Okay, he said, inhaling softly, touching his fingertips to his chest, excited as he got the go-ahead from the hot hero. I got you, baby, I got you, he replied. Thanks, Hawk said with a smile. Just then you came back to the door. Oh, honey, we are going to have some fun today, Hawk said as he wrapped an arm around your shoulders and pulled you close to him. Hey, now don't go spoiling my girl too much, I might just lose her to you, Hawk said with a cheeky smile. I'd say you better watch yourself, but judging by the marks on baby girl here, I don't think she'll be leaving your nest anytime soon, Brian said with puckered lips as he eyed the hickeys on your neck. Your face flushed and you quickly covered them with your hand. I see you, Brian said slyly to Hawks. Your winged hero chuckled sheepishly and scratched the back of his head. I got nothing to say. Save it for the jury, honey, Brian said as he turned you around and walked you off the doorstep. Toodles, babes, we'll be back, he called to Hawks over his shoulder. Bye, you called happily with a big smile and a wave. Hawks chuckled as he watched you leave. So, what are we doing today, you asked Brian as he parked the car at the small town parking lot. First of all, Brian said as he hopped out of the car and pulled his bag out of the back seat, undoing the seatbelt that he'd placed around it. Queen's got to start the day right, he said as he linked his arm with yours and sashayed down the street towards the local cafe. Hey, he greeted flamboyantly as he entered the small shop. All the waiters and waitresses looked up when he called out and their faces lit up. Hi, Brian, they chorused. He pulled you up with him to the register to place an order. Hey, sweet cheeks, he greeted the guy behind the counter. Can I please get a coffee and a... He looked at you. You panicked. What do you want to drink, honey? Brian asked you brightly. Any hot drink, please, you said softly, stepping closer to him. And one of your finest drinks for my Queen Anne here, he said. You looked at him and smiled, and he winked at you. Sure thing, the waiter replied and put the order in. Won't be long. Thanks, babes, Brian said as he stepped back with you to wait. Do most people know you here? You asked Brian softly. Honey, everybody knows me, Brian said emphatically. I've been bringing the love to this town since 91. You giggled. I can totally believe that too, you thought. After getting a hot drink each, Brian walked you out of the cafe and headed down the street. Okay, baby cakes, we need to get you a bag, he said, so you can match Uncle Bri. You beamed excitedly. He walked you towards a shop, then stopped. Okay, honey bunch, first we've got to pray, he said as he put an arm out in front of you to stop you. Pray? You asked with confusion. Oh, yes, honey, we need guidance from the Queen. Queen? Brian closed his eyes and put his hands together, and you dubiously did the same, closing one eye but keeping the other one open so you could watch Brian. Dear Beyoncé, he started, with the most hallowed voice that you'd ever heard. Girl, we need your guidance today. Please bless us with discounts and bargains on handbags and accessories, and deliver us from cheap Gucci knockoffs. For thine is the power, the glory and the light, forever and ever. Amen. Amen, you repeated softly. Okay, we're covered now. Begone, Margaret, with your nasty-ass beige handbag, he said as he wrinkled his nose and shivered. You giggled again. I love Brian, you thought. And that is the end of chapter 46. Stay tuned for chapter 47.